Hey there, it's Leona. Welcome to Zen Mindfulness Shodo. Today, we are going to practice Shodo meditation while focusing on the Kanji character for 7. So, let's begin our beautiful journey together. When you write a character, imagine a square about the size of the character that you are going to write like this. First, I'm going to write it. Then I'm going to explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully in detail. Alright, now I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing this character beautifully. The first stroke starts from a point, a bit to the left of the middle of the left half of the middle horizontal line. This stroke is slightly curving up, like this, but of course not this extreme though. It moves upward to the right, while curving, until the middle vertical line is in the middle of the stroke. This stroke might look the same as the character 1 or the second stroke of the character 2, but it's a bit different from those strokes. The stroke of the character 1 moves upward to the right, while curving up just a little bit, until the middle vertical line, then gradually moves to the right, almost parallel to the middle horizontal line. But the first stroke of this character moves upward to the right, at the same angle as the first angle. So it's not parallel to the horizontal part of the second stroke. And that looks more beautiful as compared to these two horizontal lines being parallel to each other. The second stroke starts from a point a bit higher than and to the right of the center point of the top left square. Try to start from a point that makes these two parts almost the same length. The vertical part of this stroke is not parallel to the middle vertical line. It moves downward, a little bit to the right. This stroke is a little bit leaning to the left. When the first stroke is in the middle of the stroke, or the part above the first stroke, and the part below the first stroke are almost the same length, it turns right. This stroke is curving down just a little bit, and it moves to the right, parallel to the middle horizontal line, until this flat part is almost the same length as this part above. The end point of the stroke is a bit to the left of the end point of the first stroke. When these four parts are almost the same length, the character as a whole looks more balanced and beautiful. For instance, if you make the second stroke like this, or like this, in the top one, the part above the first stroke will become longer than the part below the first stroke. In the bottom one, the part above the first stroke will become shorter than the part below the first stroke. As compared to the middle one, these two examples on the side might look a little bit unbalanced. Now I'm going to talk about the crossing point of these two strokes. If you create the second stroke like this, or like this, in the top one, the part to the left of the crossing point will become longer than the part above the crossing point. And in the bottom one, the part above the crossing point is longer than the part to the left of the crossing point. So if you make the second stroke like this, the character as a whole might look unbalanced a little bit as compared to the one in the middle that has those four parts almost the same length. The second stroke moves downward to the right, while curving to the left just a tiny bit like this, or with a slightly inverted S-shaped curve like this. There's not much difference between the two. The top one is slightly curving to the left. And for this one, I intentionally made with a slightly inverted S-shaped curve. In the top one, the vertical part of the second stroke might look like just a straight line, but it's actually just a tiny bit curving to the left. And in the bottom one, from the beginning point, the second stroke is curving to the right just a little bit. And once it passes the first stroke, it gradually curves to the left. You can create the second stroke in either way, as long as those 4 parts that I've talked about look almost the same length. The character as a whole will look balanced and beautiful. Alright, keep these points and tips in mind when you practice. The key points and tips for writing kanji beautifully, as explained in the video, are concisely summarized in this book. Additionally, easily understandable Zen mindsets and philosophical messages are shared in this book. For those who want to practice writing directly in this book, I've also prepared a workbook. The writing tips and techniques are the same as in the Zen Mindfulness Shodo book. Each character can be practiced over 3 pages. If you're interested, please see the description. I'm gonna practice 1 page of this workbook this time, but you're welcome to practice as much as you want. If you're practicing with a pen, I recommend that you place a few pieces of paper under the page that you're writing on, so that the ink doesn't bleed onto the page under it. Alright, let's get started. Before you start writing, take a deep breath and clear your mind. Slowly breathe in as much air as you can through your nose, and exhale all the negative emotions that you've been holding until this moment through your mouth. When you're mentally ready to write, you can start writing. Check the starting point, turning point, end point, the angle of the stroke, the direction of the curve. After that, without hesitation, aim for the end point and move the pen smoothly. Try to write much slower than you normally write, putting your heart and soul into each stroke. However, if you move the pen too slowly, the lines will become shaky. And if you move the pen too quickly, the lines will become thinner in areas that you don't want them to be thinner. So concentrate on finding the right speed. Once you've finished writing the character, look at the character as a whole and think about what changes you should make next in order to make it look even more beautiful. Is the angle of the first stroke too steep? Are these 2 horizontal lines not parallel to each other? Do those 4 parts that I've talked about look almost the same length? Of course, you don't have to take all the tips and points that I've told you and copy my way of writing the character. Trust your own sense of beauty and adjust accordingly. It's important that you're satisfied with the shapes of the characters you write. So, please use my tips and points as ideas and hints for adjusting the shape of the character to your sense of beauty. Of course, you can't change the shape so much that it no longer looks like a character. If you notice that you're thinking about something else while writing, immediately refocus on what you're writing. By repeating this exercise, you'll be able to notice when your attention starts to turn to something unrelated to your current action, and gradually improve your concentration and self-control. So, let's practice together. Alright, let's learn and practice together again in my next video. Thank you for watching.